Welcome to the Apply Now workshop presented by WorkSource Spokane. Today we will cover WorkSourceWA.com, Career Quest, Internet tips, application advice, and a couple of email tricks. We'll start by exploring WorkSourceWA.com. Okay, so first I'm going to start by opening my web browser and going to WorkSourceWA.com. Once I'm at the title page, since I already have an account, I'm going to log in right now. So I'm going to click up here where it says Job Seeker. Now I've already entered my username and password here, so all I have to do is click Sign In. Don't worry if you've forgotten your username and password. You can just click on Forgot Username or Forgot Password, and an email will be sent to your account giving you either a temporary password or recovering your username. However, if you don't have an account already, click here where it says Sign Up. You can also check if you have an account by clicking the button above it, saying, Do I have an account? Okay, and then first things first, it takes you to your dashboard. So your dashboard is basically just your home screen of the WorkSource WA website. So here you can see different shortcuts to going to create a resume, cover letters, and where you can store your documents, quick glance at things you've saved, and a couple of other links as well, but we'll get to those later. Let's start by checking out the tabs at the top here. Without clicking, I'm going to position my cursor over the My WorkSource tab, which will pull down a menu list of items. We'll start with My Schedule. The schedule feature is a great tool to practice with if you aren't very familiar with digital calendars. You can click down at the bottom here where it says New Appointment to add something to your calendar. You can also adjust the view of the calendar in the top corner here. Up next is the Resumes tab. So you can see here that I have 2 resumes uploaded and I have space for 8 more. This is a great feature because it means that I can target each resume to the job application I am attaching it to. If you've seen our virtual resume workshop, you already know the importance of making a specific resume for every employer you plan to submit an application to. If you haven't yet seen that workshop, I'll link it in the description box below. So you've got 2 options on the resumes page. You can either choose to create a resume directly on the site using our resume builder, or you can upload an existing resume. I recommend uploading an existing resume because you can customize exactly how you want your resume to look and just have control over every aspect of your resume. The Build a Resume template is not terrible, and if you really don't know where to start with writing, it is a great place to begin. If we were to give the Build a Resume template a grade, it would probably get a C. Not great, but not terrible either. A great feature of both the Resume Builder and the existing resume upload is that you can choose who can see your resume. You can make your resume public, meaning everyone can see your resume, or you can make it limited, meaning that employers can search for and view your resume, but it will be treated as confidential, and your contact information, references, and current employer will not be visible. Or you can make it private, meaning that it's unavailable for anyone to see aside from yourself. Okay, now let's head to the cover letters section. Again, I'm going to hover over my WorkSource tab and click Cover Letters. So here's the space where you can store your cover letters. So when we hit Create New Cover Letter, you can either copy and paste an existing cover letter into the field here, or you can type it yourself with the option of using templates. Play around with using the templates or writing your own and see which one is a better fit for you. And last but not least is the Documents portion of the site. This is where you can store additional files, like letters of recommendation, certificates, or extra resumes and cover letters when you run out of room in the other 2 categories. Alright, so now we're going to switch gears and start searching for jobs through WorkSource WA's Job Finder. We're going to start by typing an occupation here in this first bar. So let's look for receptionist. Next, we'll type in a location. In this case, we're going to be looking in Spokane. And we're going to have to decide if we want to search for jobs in Spokane County as a whole, or just in Spokane proper. I'm going to do this search in Spokane County. So it looks like there are a total of 423 jobs in Spokane County that fit the receptionist description. 423 is a lot, so let's try to narrow things down a little with some filters. We can search by the date the job was posted, the type of job, veteran preference, and if the job is a registered apprenticeship. So let's go ahead and click that we are looking for a part-time job. So now this narrows things down significantly. There are only 59 part-time receptionist jobs in Spokane County. So you might have noticed that there's another filter over on the side here called job titles. This is a really helpful tool because if you've been going through the list and you feel like the keyword you typed is not exactly what you're looking for, try clicking on some related professions. A lot of times just changing the keyword is enough to find a great job. So in this case, none of these are exactly what we're looking for, except for maybe administrative assistant. So we can go ahead and click that, and it's going to keep our part-time filter on here. So we can see there are only 15 jobs for a part-time administrative assistant. And if we want to clear a filter, just hit the X beside the filter up here at the top. So let's go ahead and clear part-time. And you might notice this little yellow W beside some of the positions. This just means that the job is a WorkSource exclusive job. So let's say I like all of the keywords that I put in here, and I want to keep all of these filters. I can go ahead and click Save this search and email me jobs. So we'll go ahead and give it a title. We'll just say Admin Assist. And I can choose how often I want WorkSource to email me with new results. Or I can say I want them to send me an updated list every week. So then I can save and go back to where I was. I can also choose to save a specific job by clicking on the job and selecting Save Job. So now this job has been saved. I also have the ability to apply to this job directly through WorkSource WA by clicking this Apply Now button. Please note that you do not have to have an account to use the search feature of this site, but you do need to have an account in order to save jobs and apply directly. I can find my saved jobs or searches by hovering over the My WorkSource tab and clicking Save Searches and Save Jobs. There is also a record of all the jobs you've applied for if you forget or want to check something again later. There are a few other options in the My WorkSource tab, including saved occupations and saved schools. This is where you can save research you do on potential career paths and educational opportunities. There's also a message center where you can receive messages from your career coach and a career profile, which is essentially a short assessment you can take to gain insight into some fields you might enjoy working in. If you hover over the Career Tools tab, you can see another menu list of items pop up. If you select Workshops and Hiring Events, you'll be able to select your area and see the schedule of classes and other hiring events that are happening near you. For example, I'll click on the Spokane workshops. You'll also be able to register for classes through this page by pressing the Sign Up button. We're not going to take a deep dive through the rest of the Career Tools section because they're pretty self-explanatory. And the same goes for the Resources tab. Under Resources, you'll see more opportunities for research, including opportunities for farm workers, apprenticeships, education, and a WorkSource locator to find a physical WorkSource in your area. The Spotlights category highlights 3 industries that are booming in Washington State. And finally, the About Us section gives background and contact information for WorkSource if you have any questions about the site, unemployment insurance questions, or need some login assistance. And now it's time to check out CareerQuest. This site is a feature of the WorkSource Spokane website, so let's head over there now. I'm going to create a new tab and type in WorkSourceSpokane.com. Okay, so here we are at the WorkSource Spokane homepage. WorkSourceSpokane.com is a great site to access our local calendar and resources, but that's a topic for another workshop. To access CareerQuest, click up here, and then select Start CareerQuest Today. I've gone ahead and put in my account information. It's likely that you won't already have an account, so just click Register right down here. I'm going to go ahead and log in now. CareerQuest is essentially a virtual career coach, and the site is filled to the brim with local resources. The program starts off with a checklist that you can walk through. The first category is basically just establishing a bunch of research resources. If you click where it says See Options, you'll be met with a slew of resources that are relevant to each category. So as you can see, there are tons of these. Section 2 is about preparing yourself for the application process, including tips for writing a resume, resume templates, and a few interviewing tips. Section 3 gives you information to start your job search, and Section 4 is all about interviewing. By the time you complete all of the items on the different checklists and reach Section 5, you've probably already got a job. So this section is about how to stay involved with the WorkSource Spokane community. Be sure to take your time when exploring this website. It really has an incredible amount of information that will help you with your job search. Everything from clothing resources to online classes and articles you can read. Okay, we are officially finished with website tutorials. Let's move on to some basic internet tips that might be beneficial for applying online. Let's first discuss the difference between web browsers and search engines. A browser is basically an on-ramp to the internet. On-ramps are all a little different, but they all get you to the same place in the end. And the same is true for web browsers. Each person has their favorite web browser, and some sites work better with one browser than the other. Personally, I like to download at least 2 browsers on my computer, just in case an application I'm filling out works better with one than the other. Your computer will automatically assign one browser to be your default, but you will always be able to open the other ones on your computer by clicking their icon. A search engine is what you use to search the internet. Search engines are built into your browser, but you can change which search engine you use under your browser's settings. To sum things up, your web browser gets you to a search engine, which then allows you to search the internet. Up next is internet security. While searching for jobs online, there are a few things to be aware of when sharing your personal information. One way to make sure you are on a secure website is by checking the web address in the address bar. If the site's address starts with HTTPS and a locked padlock appears in the left end of the address bar, then the site has measures in place to protect the information you provide. If the website you're on does not begin with HTTPS or have the lock icon, that does not mean the page is unsafe to look at. It just means that it does not have security features in place to protect the information you enter. Generally speaking, it is a good idea to avoid putting any personal information onto a site that does not have any protection features. Another safety feature present on many websites is CAPTCHA. CAPTCHA is designed so that the information, word, or pictures provided to you cannot be scanned and interpreted correctly by a computer. It takes a human eye to determine what the image or work is. This is so you can prove you are not a robot, which in turn helps keep your information safe from hackers and robots that collect sensitive data. While CAPTCHA can be very frustrating, there is usually an option to refresh and choose a different word, phrase, or picture, or to have the phrase read aloud to you. In the picture example shown here, asking you to select all images with street numbers, don't worry about getting the answer wrong. If you make a mistake, you will just be shown another series of pictures. An issue you may encounter when applying online is pop-up blockers. While searching on some websites, you may be clicking on a link that doesn't seem to take you to another page, but you know it should be producing something. This happens frequently with applications. You may push Apply Now and nothing happens. Your browser could have blocked the page that was supposed to appear with its pop-up blocker. The browser will usually tell you if it is blocking a pop-up window. Check the upper right corner of the address bar to see if there is a notification saying a pop-up has been blocked, as shown on the screen here. You can typically click the notification and select Allow pop-ups from this site or something similar, and the page should appear. With the wheel came the getaway car, with the printing press came counterfeiting, and now scam artists continue to keep up with technology by exploiting the internet's anonymity to approach victims over the web. While internet fraud is nothing new, would-be swindlers have found a new avenue by which to reach victims: online job postings. Here is a quick list of rules to follow to keep your job search safe. Never share personal, confidential information online unless it is a reputable site, such as a government site. Search and apply online with well-known organizations, like through a company's direct website. Never share your passwords, and never pay for a recruitment service as a job seeker or pay to apply for a job. If you do incur any fees for something like, say, a background check, your employer should guarantee repayment beforehand. Very quickly, we're going to discuss a few tips for dealing with passwords. Every site you apply through will likely make you create an account in order to apply, and it can get hard to keep track of all your passwords. I know it's very tempting to make all your passwords the same or to write them all down, but please do not do this. If someone gets a hold of the paper you wrote your passwords down on, or if they manage to guess the one password you use for everything, they suddenly have access to all of your information. This is why I recommend coming up with a base password and adapting the ending. Most websites require passwords to be a minimum of 8 characters, and the password must include both uppercase and lowercase letters, a number, and a symbol. The best thing to do is to pick something that is special to you, like a pet's name or a vacation spot, to be your base password. Next, choose a special character and a number to use, but make sure you do not pick a number that is too easy to guess, like the year you were born. As an example, I use San Fran as this base password because I love visiting my cousin in San Francisco. The numbers I picked mean something to me, but they wouldn't mean anything to anyone else. I picked the number 2005 because I took my first trip out of the country in 2005, so I chose that number for my first password because it's easy for me to remember, but hard for others to guess. Here are a few other examples of passwords I could use using this same base password. If I use these 3 passwords for 10 different sites, I know that I will be able to guess the correct password before the site locks me out. Next, we will talk about job applications specifically. As mentioned previously, the best places to apply for jobs are legitimate sites like Glassdoor, LinkedIn, WorkSource, and the specific website of the company with which you are applying. Many people use Indeed.com, but it is not the best to use because they tend to send users a bunch of junk emails, like scams, surveys, and other methods of gathering data. It is better to use sites such as Indeed and social media to research who is hiring, then apply directly through the hiring company's website. Generally speaking, the most common process for completing an online application is that you first create an account, then fill out the online form, being sure to follow all directions as you do so. Finally, you will have a space to attach files to your application, such as your resume and cover letter. Now we'll move on to a few tips for filling out applications. The position you're applying for should never say any or open. Write down a specific job title. If the company is hiring for multiple positions, fill out a separate application for each title. Under date available, you should put an exact date. If you're implied, 2 weeks from the date you submit the application is standard. Your employment history should start with your most recent position. At the end of the application, you will likely have to check a box or provide a digital signature stating that all the information you provided is true and that the company is authorized to investigate anything they wish. Some questions are more difficult than others to answer. We'll go over a few commonly asked questions that can feel awkward to answer. Have you ever been convicted of a violation of law other than minor traffic violations? If yes, explain. The ban-the-box law in Washington state requires that employers remove application questions regarding an individual's criminal history. Unfortunately, some employers still use a generic application that includes this question. If this question is on your application, be sure to answer it honestly because leaving a blank on an online form runs the risk of the application being labeled as invalid by the computer and being deleted from the employer's system. Answer the question honestly and, if there's space, mention something along the lines of you would be happy to discuss your history further in a job interview and that it will not affect your ability to do the job. Why are you interested in working for us? To stand out from the rest of the applicant pool, do a little research before you start filling out the application. Find out more about the position, the company, its philosophy, and its work environment. Then explain why you'd be a good fit for the team. Avoid answers that may sound self-involved, such as, I heard the company pays well. What skills and abilities qualify you for the position? Take a closer look at the job description. What skills can you list that would demonstrate you can not only do the job, but do it well? This is the key to answering this question effectively. You may list things you would put on a targeted resume for this position. Be specific and relatable to the position you are applying for. Reason for leaving your last position? Try to avoid terms that may reflect poorly on you or make you seem unreliable, such as I quit, personal reasons, I was fired, or I didn't like my supervisor. Never criticize a former employer. Instead, use positive terms to explain your reason for leaving, such as pursuing a degree, seeking advancement, relocation, resigned, or career change. If you are terminated, use the expression involuntary termination and look for an opportunity to explain the circumstances to potential employers. especially if you were terminated without cause. What are your salary requirements? Employers often use this question to screen applicants. Even if you know how much you'd like, leave your answer open-ended. List a salary range rather than a specific amount, or say negotiable. This will give you more room to negotiate if you're offered a job. If you are asked to email a resume to an employer, here are a few things to keep in mind. In the To section, make sure to triple check that the email address you are sending your resume to is correct. Your personal email address will appear in the From section. Email addresses can say a lot about a person, and oftentimes it isn't positive. You do not know your audience, and someone you do not know could misinterpret what you were trying to convey. Your email address should be professional, meaning a combination of your first and last name and a random number. Be sure not to use your birth year or something that could reveal your age to an employer. If you're wondering if your email address is professional or not, that's probably a sign that it isn't, and that it's time to create a new account. A lot of people actually prefer to have two email accounts, because that way they can have one email address for friends and family, and another specifically for employers and items related to their job search. In the subject field, you should include the job title and posting ID number if it is available, plus the word resume so the employer can sort through their emails easily. You don't need to make the body of your email very long. Make it easy for the employer to read by writing a brief summary of your intentions and the objective statement from your resume. You can include the introduction to your cover letter as the body of the email if you want, but still attach the cover letter, particularly if it was requested. When you send an email with an attachment, the recipient can see the name of the files you send. The names of files sent to employers should include your first and last name, plus what the file is, like a resume or cover letter. And that concludes our Apply Now virtual workshop. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to check out some of our other virtual workshops at WorkSourceSpokane.com. Thank you for watching this virtual workshop. If you have any questions about this course's content, please email the WorkSource Spokane workshop team at esdwsspokaneworkshopteam@esd.wa.gov.